Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back. We took a little break there in between some videos. Really had a lot of fun with their recent collaborations with Karma, and I think we're going to do some more collaborations in the future. But today we're going back to brass tacks. I wanted to show you all what I've been running on the ladder, kind of my thought process with that, in hopes that people are midway through February, right, and trying to grind up. And so I want to get some of that information out. And we will make a quick pit stop today, just over to my handy dandy note, just to talk about data. That was some feedback I received recently, and I've been tracking my win percentage with this deck and the specific matchups and what the win losses have been. So I'm excited to get into that as well. But I think let's just dive in to Nissa and her interesting Domri impression and the deck build that I've arrived at as feeling really good for the meta right now. So I call her Nissa Domri because, as you can see, we're running the very standard werewolf package and quite a few familiar Domri cards. So I'll explain kind of how we got there. But for those who have not played with Nissa, she's really interesting to build with because you can use any land and 6 cards of any color. So you really can customize her an incredible amount. So like if we just flip over to this list, right, updated OTK, which I've kind of been looking at, right, you've got a lot of different color cards and options and stuff like that, which is so cool. Like, I probably should have been playing Nissa a long time ago, but I'm a Domri fanatic, I was a Ral fanatic for a while, and now we're on to Nissa, who I've really come to love, and I do feel is really well suited for the metagame right now. I thought the metagame was going to slow down a little bit, but in my opinion, it hasn't. I feel like I still am seeing a lot of Nahiri, a lot of Chandra, a lot of Domri that are kind of lower curve versions, even some Gideon here and there, which I think has a bit of play to it as well. So, why are we constructing Nissa this way? My thinking here is incidental life gain, really good into an aggressive meta, just cheap, efficient cards, really good into an aggressive meta, and then just any sort of glue cards, right, that can allow you to get to the mid and late game, because that's where we're going to thrive with Nissa and all of her awesome nature glory. So, early package, Channeler of Might, right, 1 mana 3/3, Birds of Paradise, it's a blocker, you get a life and you get a mana gem, Scion buffed up to a 2/2, so you can play it really cheaply, and it's going to be impactful as a blocker that has ward that they can't immediately deal with. And it also has trample on the backswing when you're starting to turn the corner with the deck. Best things you can be doing on 2 mana, Rampant Growth, and Elvish Archer I think has proven pretty effective for me. I think there are like maybe 1 to 2 flex slots in the deck aside from the multicolor cards, and I've just been really, really happy with Archer in a more aggressive meta. We've got our Werewolf package with Agitator, which has inherent synergy to gain us 2 life and 2 mana gems. Hermit of the Flock, again, a glue card kind of allowing us to get to the mid-game. Joraga Druid, just really, really effective, does a great Centaur impression, to draw us extra cards. And so let's talk about the flex slots. So we've got 2 Agitator, a Trickster, an Outlander, and 2 Lava Wave. And for me, I've been pretty happy with this. Obviously, Agitator is inherently synergistic with the deck, gaining you life, ramping you, turns on all of your werewolves for future turns. Trickster is a nod to Liliana still being a pretty not great matchup. It's definitely winnable, but I also just think Trickster in a relatively diverse metagame can be really nice, right? Because it can shrink down some of the threats that are tough. I'll say it feels pretty good when your opponent plays a big Titan and you just Trickster it and turn it into a 3/3 frog. Yes, they've gotten some value by it being in play, but the 7 toughness and 7 power of the Titans has made a huge, huge difference in their playability. So Pixie Trickster is just like a nice little catch-all answer. Ulrich and some of my teammates I think feel the same way, but I'll speak for myself. This card is just always good. You're either playing it on turn 5 and at worst trading it off and getting a creature, or in most cases you're only going to play it into a board where you get a free attack, meaning they can block you but they're not going to kill your Ulrich. And it's so easy when you have extra mana gems to just play it, attack, get your free creature, buff your whole board, right? Flip it, upgrade it, which I think it just makes this card one of the best cards for any green mid-range deck, period, right? Domri, Vivian, Nissa, excellent card. Centaur Sage, still really good, especially for the mid-range and control matchups, right? You're getting a lot of value by drawing extra cards. I'm still iffy if I want 2 in the deck. I think 1 might be a little bit closer, but we're going to play some games and see how it feels. Primeval Titan, no-brainer. Lava Wave, just a very format-defining card right now, and we can make really great use of it because we ramp, even more reliably than Domri, and we don't get punished because we're not playing Gaia's Cradle. And I guess that's a good segue to talking about why are we playing Hermitage instead of the white land that gains you life or just a basic land. I've come to really, really like Hermitage because we just have so many ways to gain mana in the deck. So even when this happens early on, it's never hugely punishing. And often what I find, especially in the mid-range matchups, having Hermitage to snag you your Craterhoof Behemoth that you really need at the moment, or Crush of Wurms, right? Or a Titan or something like that, or Ulrich. It just gives you gas in the matchups where you actually do need a bit more gas. Like, for instance, Nissa and Vraska, that matchup, I still think Nissa is favored because we have Lava Wave, but some versions really try to attack your hand by making you discard cards, and so obviously having a land that's not gaining you life or just sitting there, but a land that is literally drawing you like a pretty impactful creature, because that's kind of all we run, aside from some of the glue cards. Hermitage does quite a lot of work in this deck, and it's actually made me think more about, do I want to play Hermitage and Domri and try and figure out how to have a ramp package that works, but I think it's harder because what Nissa has access to is rampant growth, right? And you're just able to pay upfront for 2 extra empty mana gems for the rest of the game, and you're running Primeval Titan. So I think if you're gonna try Domri with Woodland Hermitage, I think you probably have to play Primeval Titan, just to make sure that you're still ramping effectively and maintaining closer to that 8 mana mark, so that even if you're giving up Gaia's Cradle to really accelerate your mana in 1 or 2 turns, that you've got consistent mana to keep up with if you're hitting your creatures off of Woodland Hermitage. So, and then I'm still working on Crush of Wurms. I think when the format is more mid-range, Crush of Wurms is a lot better. And I do think the format, at least just from the handful of games I've been playing over the last 2 weeks, it's still pretty fast. So I'm not 100% on Crush of Wurms, but that's enough about the deck. Let's just get into it, play some games, and see how it all goes. So we're currently ranked 17, okay? I would say inherently this is probably a pretty good matchup. And I figure what we can do, let's play some games, and then we'll add to our data and talk about the data toward the end of the video. But yeah, I mean, unless Vivian has some really, really choice upgrades, this is the kind of mid-range deck that we should be able to punish with our card advantage and our really impactful creatures, and the fact that we're going to ramp and probably be more efficient than our opponent. Alright, Might and Agitators and Titan I think we're going to keep, because we get the 3/3 Might, and Primeval Titan is a great 6-drop for us to play. Agitators is solid, but we definitely get them all. The Crush of Wurms, great. We've got a cheaper interactive creature. The one thing that's awkward with Scion is that it will eat your fragile mana gem, so you really want to be mindful of okay, I want to play this turn because next turn I'm going to play Agitator. So you might actually see us go Channeler, Agitator, or Channeler, Scion into Agitator. Wow, this is an interesting curve. Well, I would rather use the Fragile Mana Gem to pump up Scion, I think, next turn than play Channeler, because I'm not hyper concerned with applying pressure here. They did get armor as their first upgrade, which is, at least nice in terms of applying pressure here. Beast Monitor, okay. Well, I think this is a good opportunity to run out. We could wait a turn to run out Scion. That's what I'm thinking about here. So if we do this on turn 4, then on turn 5 we get to play Gatstaf. Or we do, this is turn 2, right? Yeah, so turn 2, 3, 4. That's pretty good. But the more efficient thing is to play Archer here. I think let's do that. It gives us the shot at being able to block this if they don't throw an upgrade on something else this turn. But I probably do have to trade off Archer to pop the armor off anyway. Yeah, it looks like they're going to allow it to attack past the Archer. Okay. Reach, not terribly impactful. This is fine. I think we're just going to pop the armor off, and then we can play Scion. Hermit's also good, but I think playing Scion and getting +3 to make it a 5/5. I'm not going to attack with this because I really want to block here, and then the 5/5 can block here. So I think that's the way. They could also just hold their base spawner here and try and be able to attack past the Scion. That would be a decent play for them. Okay, just running out board. Sure. Alright, well, I'm pretty happy to take this trade, I think. We're also going to have the 5-power Agitator anyway. So, I'll offer the trade here. Okay, I'm just going to take 5. So they might have a fight spell with this, which will be pretty tough, but hoping that we can ramp enough here and just start accelerating. So we gain 2 life. We're going to be up to 7 mana next turn, which is a good turn to be playing Ulrich. But we can also slam Titan and Might if we want to use our fragile mana gems. Just depends on how much pressure they're able to apply this turn. But so far they haven't really been able to punch through. Okay, yeah. That's a good one. Right now it's actually really nice to have Gatstaf into decks like this because it actually is almost always trading up. Okay, I'm going to take the trade here. Question is, do I want to block here? I think I will. Because I can see if they develop further and I can either go Titan Might, and Might's able to block this, or I can just run out Ulrich and save a trade. Okay, so this should be Wurms Wake. And if it is Wurms Wake, then I think I'd rather have 2 blockers out, and we still get the gem off Titan anyway. So I think this is slightly better than just playing Ulrich. Okay. Yep. Wurms Wake. So if our opponent has a fight spell here, it's pretty annoying. That would probably be their best play. But if they just continue to develop the board, next turn we can go Hermit and Elvish Archer and flip. Or we can potentially go Ulrich, try and trade off, get a card. If they do make us block with Primeval Titan, that's going to be pretty rough. But I think if they had a fight spell, they would immediately do this, or this. So I think we're hopefully okay there. Mistraven would be good. That'd be an excellent card to play. Okay, that's not terribly impactful. Nature Defense. Interesting. Okay, I could see that in the deck. It's a little awkward though. Okay. Well, I mean, they're having to do this. I mean, if we ever draw a Lava Wave, it's just pretty much lights out. So the question is, do I want to trade my Giant for this? And I think I'm going to have to, because I really need to make sure that if I hit Woodland, I'm still at 8 mana. I don't love trading it off because it's so effective at blocking these cards. The other option too is to play Outlander, like basically double trade. That leaves him with a pretty healthy board though. This is definitely close. They can't really outpressure us. So you know what? I think I'm gonna do the play that I talked about. And just pass the turn. Because also, if we're buying time and just kind of trading resources, it's okay. I mean, because even if they, you know, they're going to attack with the matron, we'll block with the sheep, and then they play a new creature. If we top deck Lava Wave, it's just going to be pretty much game over. Which is why this matchup feels very advantageous, is because we have Lava Wave, they don't. It's just so hard to play around the card when you're playing mid-range. You have to be really careful with how much pressure you're applying and how much pressure you need to apply to get the Lava Wave. So travel supplies, okay, that's fine. If they just sit here, that's really good for us. I think they probably should try and trade a little bit if they've got other creatures in their hand, which I imagine they do. Okay. I'm running out of time here. Okay, I guess they're passing the turn. Alright, well, now we're kind of running into a similar scenario. Where obviously I want to be playing out different cards in my hand. So I think now it makes sense to trade off my Titan. I don't get the best blocks on the swing back, but I want to get the mana and, you know, probably play Centaur out this turn. Yeah. Obviously I was hoping we would draw a Lava Wave or something that turn, but yeah. I mean, if I'm them, I think I snap block with Boar, because Boar's not attacking past most of our board. But maybe they have a fight spell and they're hoping to like really get us with like Stoneforge Mystic, where they can give it sneak or something, and they're just trying to keep it buffed. That's definitely a reasonable line, but as the board state is, I would just say, okay, I don't want them gaining life, I don't want them ramping. Let me just trade my high power, low toughness creature for their best creature on the board, you know. Okay, it might be that our opponent disconnected, because now they've just done straight nothing. I will just replace the 1/1 with Centaur Sage. It's like a little bad, but I don't think it's correct to just leave the 1/1. Jeez, I hope they didn't just like straight up disconnect, but it seems like they may have. I mean, I just think it's weird to let me attack for 7 and ramp and have another bite at the apple next turn. I don't think that's what you want to be doing. Okay. Okay. Well, that's a bit unfortunate. I mean, not a really good showcase of the deck, but at least you can kind of see, like, we basically took no damage that whole game and gained, like, I don't know, 7 life or something. So at least, like, you get to kind of see, like, roughly how that matchup is going to go. I do think that it's pretty hard for Vivian. We just really, really effectively go over the top of her. I think Vivian's still always, like, a pretty solid Planeswalker in, like, diverse metas, just because you can kind of tune the deck to beat certain things. Like, if they had Mistraven on certain turns, that would have been really good. I don't know if they're running Mistraven and stuff like that, but... Alright, Chandra. This should be a good matchup. These games are usually pretty close. Okay, getting the extra mana gem is nice, and having these 3 is really nice. Prime time, I'll ship back to try and hit maybe one of our 3 drops. Okay, Might's also... It's not great, because we don't have a target to buff it, but nice. So we start the game with an extra life, which is very nice. Birds is also... Oh, wow. Well, that was a good draw. Huh. Well, now I might just want to hold on to the birds for if we draw Druid. So I think I'll actually just run out Channeler. Also, I might just want to play Scion early and eat only one Fragile Mana Gem and hold birds for the second. Okay. I don't... This is interesting. So I could not trade here, right? Because if they play Minotaur, it gets to attack past Archer. But we also just have Druid next turn and Paradise, and that's pretty good. So I think I will offer the trade here. I'd rather keep my life total high. If they have Minotaur, it kind of sucks, but it's possible they don't. And we'll basically... Okay, they do. Alright, yeah, I'm just gonna take the 4. I don't love that. But we get to have a pretty effective turn here. So even if they're able to deal with Druid, hopefully we get a chump block of birds. Okay, Trickster not great in this matchup, I think, but I might turn our birds into a 3/3, which would be decent. Okay, I'm gonna... So I'll throw the block here in case they have any traps. Block here. Alright. No way I'm playing Trickster into a flame shot here. Okay. We've got the lava wave, so as long as we're able to kind of hold on here for a bit. Yeah, I think we just gotta run out Scion here. Because if we play Trickster and make our bird a 3/3, they just get flame shot the 3/3, and then all we have is the 2/2 left. It's awkward, but because I would prefer to play Trickster so I could play Titan. Okay, yeah, this is a definite flame shot attack, I think. So how do I want to play this? I think I still just take this block. Okay. Stormseeker. That seems like a decent card. Well, I'm just gonna offer the trade here and play another Scion. Definitely the buff to Scion made this card a lot more effective against aggro. Okay. Don't hit the bird. Nice. I'm probably going to have the bird jump block. It's not going to get too much better than this. And I'd love to be able to kind of turn the corner with Scion here. Okay. Yeah, we're getting in a pretty dangerous area. But we get to gain a life this turn off of the prime time. Hopefully gain another life next turn. And whatever they develop here, obviously we could just wash away with Lava Wave. Yeah, I'm going to block. Tree top, look out. Okay. Oh. Definitely the right play. Yep. Go to 7. If they had exactly Lava Axe plus Volcano, they could have won that. So, GG. I mean, it's close. But, yeah, I mean, the second Scion really locked that up. So we did get punished. We made, like, kind of a suboptimal block. Or a suboptimal attack. Because I would have taken 2 instead of 4. And then we would have had a good block on both creatures. So I think that probably was a play mistake. in the early game. You shouldn't always play like your opponent has the best line, but I was considering that line, and I think I should have considered a little bit more. Like, okay, I trade a little bit of tempo where, let's say they have some sort of early removal somehow, they get to kill my channeler, and I haven't traded it off, but it's not likely that they do. Like, they usually don't have much interaction early besides Flame Shot at 4 mana. So it's pretty likely I'm going to get to just block the Minotaur with it. So I think that was probably a play mistake. Okay, cool. Playing against Domri. Looks like our builds. I think we're just going to ship all of this back. Okay, nice. Oh my god. Well, we got really hooked up here with our mulligan. My feeling is that we do a better Domri impression. So I think the matchup's still really interesting, but we should be favored overall. Alright, so here we have an interesting choice. I think it's just going to be birds because we can go bird into Rampant Growth into Hermit. We can hold the Channeler maybe for a little bit, see if we can get the +1/+1. Because definitely playing it as a 3/3 is much more impactful against Domri. Okay, nice. We love to see that. Rampant Growth. So we've gained 2 life, so essentially taking 0 here on the attack. And then we get to play Hermit and immediately flip. And then we've got Channeler. So feeling pretty good here. Definitely going to save our birds to actually block a creature with much higher power, since we know Domri pretty well. Okay, Lava Wave is just one of the better cards we could draw. Gain another 2. So probably Gatstaf is their best play here, just to ramp them even higher. Anything else is not super threatening, but hopefully we draw something somewhat low curve that we can combine with Channeler of Might. Yep, that gets them to 8 next turn. Which is definitely pretty good. Druid is great, but question is, can I afford to play this card? And do I want to trade my Protector of the Make-Off for the 5/1? I don't think so. I think we can play this pretty slow. So I'll hold on to the Joraga Druid. I don't love this kind of line of play. But I think it's what we have to do with where we are in the board state. We're on turn 5, 4. Right. So if they play one of their 8 drops this turn, we could potentially put them off it for turn 7 with Lava Wave. Because we'll go to 7 this turn. They have to go to turn 5, and then we... Okay, well this is really lucky because it's a weird play for us to not have Wurms Wake here if we are playing the card. So we might have actually bought ourselves some time because they were hoping to get some value there. Interesting. Well, Scion lives past Lava Wave, so now I'm inclined to run this out, although it stops us from hitting 8. I think this is the play. I don't love it, but I think it's the best we can do adding to the board for now. I mean, this sort of game is just going to be really defined by... Okay. Alright. Well, that's pretty good. Definitely harder for us to deal with, but we've got some decent blocks, so it's definitely not the end of the world. Yeah. Soak some damage. And we're definitely going to attack, because I don't want to open myself up to like a fight spell. I just want to trade for what they have. Okay, we could see... Let's see what we hit here off of Druid. Behemoth. Yeah, I'm just going to trade off for one of these. Get some damage through. If they have a fight spell, they're probably not going to block here. Okay. Pretty decent for us. I mean, ideally they just develop here and then we just slam a lava wave. Rampant Growth was actually such a good draw there. Yep. It's good that they don't have any like high toughness creatures that they got buffed. Alright, let's take 6 here. Looks like they're just going to pass and flip. In that case, I'm actually just going to run out. Well... No, I actually can't run out Worm because if they have Lava Wave, then we lose. So, yeah, it's got to be Lava Wave. And now they're stuck on 7 for at least 1 turn, which is pretty good. We can't prevent the next Lava Wave. I mean, we can Craterhoof first and then play Worm, but I think we're just going to go Worm. And if they have it, they have it, but... Hermitage, let's see what we draw. Agitator, Agitator, interesting. Yeah, I think we're just gonna run out Crush. Alright, just don't have it. They do, we're taking 8, 9. It's not the end of the world. And I think if they don't have Lava Wave this turn, we should win the game, because we're just going to go Craterhoof, and then... Okay, they do. Yep. It's like the format-defining card, Lava Wave, man. Just affects everything. Okay, well, now we've actually got some options, and I think I am going to deviate from what I was thinking about doing. So we get to kill this. Gain some extra life. Also, like, this kind of plays pretty well if they have second Lava Wave. So then we'll just slam Crush Wurms and we know they can't answer it. So I think that was probably the correct line there. And what's great is we have strictly better card advantage because we get to run Hermitage. This build really can't afford to play it. I think unless you're deviating towards playing Primeval Titan. It's a good draw. I'm gonna block, sure. Yep. So now, by playing Craterhoof, we actually have better attacks. Pretty solid. So they can both block. We don't have a great block for this, so I think I will just. Can also just hold, but I want to trade stuff off because we're going to play Crush next turn. So I think I'll at least trade off one of the wolves. I think that's fine. So here we'll see what they do. At the very least, we'll attack with our 7/3 next turn and then slam Crush. just wild how these games are just so it's completely revolves around Lava Wave. Like it's just that's the card you have to be thinking about at every point in the game if you're trying to win. That's why I really liked playing Domri, because it was the first deck that I felt was really effectively using Lava Wave in a way that's just like incredibly punishing. Alright, well, I'm going to take this trade. They clearly want to play more creatures. I'm happy to do that. And like, that's why I've just traditionally gone towards Domri as my aggro deck of choice, because I just think it scales the best. Okay, so this could be Wurms Wake coming down. I mean, either way, just swing here. Then we'll play a Crush. And now we've got 8/8 Wurms. Well out of range of Lava Wave. Yeah. Our deck does get to run Crush of Wurms and Craterhoof Behemoth, which feels pretty nasty. And Agitator, sure. They get a boar. Okay, well that's a good Trickster target. Yeah. We're also just drawing extra cards with Hermitage. And I'm fine to trade these off because we just got so much more we can do. So if they're trying to play towards Lava Wave, they block all the Wurms. To get their toughness lower. Which I would, yeah, I was going to say at least one of those blocks I would. Pretty much the only thing that allows them to win at this point would be Lava Wave, so. I mean, I get they're taking the best possible blocks, but, yeah. It's not a huge reason to run out Archer, but sure. Yeah, so I think that in this matchup, as long as you are GG, as long as you are really being considerate of how you're using your mana early and just playing the best you can around Lava Wave, I think it should win this matchup. I mean, also just the Craterhoof Worm interaction for post Lava Wave is just, like, Domri has no way to deal with that. The only way Domri can win through that is basically through trying to make those blocks so that a Lava Wave would be lethal against the Wurms. But we also could just draw another Worm, another Craterhoof Behemoth. So that's the deck. I know we didn't have a great game one, but I will post it just because it does still kind of show like a little bit of how the matchup would look like. I'm still a little iffy on Trickster. It's like not good against aggro, but it is good against a lot of the rest of the field. But, you know, we played Vivian, then we played Chandra, then we played Domri, we went 3-0, although the Vivian match doesn't really count in my mind. Because they either disconnected or then scooped as a result of the disconnection or something. But the Chandra matchup was really good, and the Domri matchup was really good. Like, even though, yes, we were ahead on life after we turned the corner and there wasn't too much they could do, like, they played it pretty well, and when they had the Lava Wave, that was, like, pretty tough for us to come back from, but, like, we did have the tools to do it. And so I think just the simplest takeaway is, like, if you really like Domri, and you feel like that's still doing the best, kind of most powerful thing in the format as this kind of hybrid aggro mid-range deck, I think you should try something like this. Because I think it's actually It's really good against Domri, and can fight against Vivian really effectively, and Vraska, which I don't know how popular the deck is, but I think it is a really powerful deck right now. I think also Nissa has a bit of an edge against that deck too. And if Teferi comes back into the meta, you just jam some treetop villages in over the archers, and you're good to go. Because you just have like this crazy threat density, and you're ramping, and you've got good early interaction. So I've just been really happy with it. And so let me just hop over to our data sheet real quick. So we are currently 3-0 against Domri. We are 2-0 against Chandra since I've been running this build. And what was well, I guess we'll count the Vivian one. I mean, I think we were going to win it based on the board state at the time they disconnected, but I don't know if you want to count that. So, so we played 20 total games. So what is that? 17 wins. 20. All right. So now we're at an 85% win rate. Which I don't know. Like win rates. Just a quick aside. Win rates I think are good to know. Like if a deck seems like relatively effective, but doesn't mean that the deck is actually like going to win 85% against the field overall. It's hard to tell because it is really, this game is a game of matchups. It's a game of running specific cards, running specific lands. Like I think that win rate is helpful insofar as, does this deck win games? And if it does, okay, it is a competitive deck, right? I think probably any deck that's over 55 to 60% win rate means that it's competitive, right? If you're getting closer to 55 or like even closer to 50, like a coin flip, I would probably say not so competitive. But out of 20 total games that we've played, we've won 17 of them. And I guess I'll talk really quickly about the losses. So we lost to Vraska. Against that Vraska deck, they were running the Hand Disruption package. So they had the 2-mana card that allows for a finale trigger to happen, and they would do it on their horse, the steed, and they would also sacrifice the steed. And at certain points, if you take away Nissa's hand, it really kind of stops her potential ramp package. It maybe takes away like her best threats, and then you're left with like Channeler of Might in your hand or Birds of Paradise in your hand. And that was one of the losses. Gideon lost right before the video. Opponent who had played a couple times, they were playing Chandra and then they switched to Gideon, ran me over. They went triple 1-drop in the first 2 turns, and then they just kept playing at least 1 creature per turn after that. And although we had like an okay early start, it was a little clunky for us too. And the mana constrictors that they played really kind of messed me up. So that's an interesting, kind of matchup to note. And Ashaya, we had probably one of the worst draws I've had, which was just like a grip full of like 3 drops and 6 drops. And so we had 0 pressure early, 0 ramp early. And, Ashaya does really well when it gets to take away cards like Lava Wave or Craterhoof or Crush of Wurms, or like copy them rather. And our opponent took one of our Lava Waves from the bottom of our deck. So that was pretty rough. But, I think generally the Vraska matchup, we're going to be positive. I think we probably should never lose to Vivian. Liliana, I think it's closer. I think Liliana's always capable of just, comboing off and having a really good matchup against you. Jace, I don't think we should lose to. I just don't think Jace has enough inevitability to close out the game. And doesn't have a lot of ways to stop us from just like making a huge board and then having to deal with it besides the Day of Judgment builds. But even then, it's pretty easy to play around Day of Judgment. Drist can have aggressive decks or starts, but I don't think it's too scary. Sorin actually has been sometimes a pretty scary matchup if they're developing like triple 1-drop or 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, like really curving out. But it's pretty hard for them to push past your life total. Like I've gotten below 10 or at 10, but it's just so easy at a certain point to go like Primeval Titan, gain a life, Rampant Growth, Birds of Paradise, Hermit of the Flock. Like, you have so many ways to gain life where they really can't push past it. Domri, I think, is a pretty good matchup for us. Ashaya, I think we should be fine in, as long as the game's not going super long, because they have a little bit of an inevitability in that way. And then Chandra, I think, is a lot closer than this 2-0 suggests. Obviously, very small sample size. 20 games is not a huge sample size, but my feeling is that when we're running Elvish Archer, it's a huge help for the deck. Early Scions are really hard for decks like Chandra to deal with, because she just has to kind of throw her bodies at the wall and try and push damage through. Gideon does the same thing, except Gideon has creatures with armor, and cards like Paragon of Balance to kind of balance the scales. So I do think that we're more advantaged against Chandra than we are against Gideon for the blue-white version. So yeah, take this for what you will. At the very least, the data is suggesting that we're doing pretty well. And we're sitting in usually top 20 Mythic. So yeah, get out there, have some fun with Nissa, and let me know what you think in the comments. Please keep liking and subscribing. Really appreciate the support, and we'll catch you next time.